Okay, we're back on Grim Nasty TV. So a lot of stuff has been happening in the past 48 hours. I wanted to talk to you guys about one of which that happened, and I found it to be quite extraordinary, as I have always been fond of the Rat Fink characters, Garbage Pail Kids, just about any kind of cool character in the pop culture era, you know what I mean? Creator right there of pop culture, you know what I'm saying? Everything American. American Pie. All right, so let's get to talking about it. All right, so in my astral space, which is actually overlays to the real world, uh, Mickey and one of my chakras went on a trip with Ratfink, and it was amazing. So I was riding in a car back to from another city in regular life. All right, and I was going back, and I was talking to him, and and I said something about like collaborating. Remember before, so at one time at nighttime, sometimes I have meetings. You know what I mean, with the divine feminine. So at one time I was having a conversation with her about, so who is it or something like that, and then he shows up like smiling like, hey, you like me or whatever, right? So I thought it was funny. So so one day I was on the bus, and the windows of the bus are about that wide. So his mouth walks by the whole window, fills it up, passes by, he starts grinning more because he realizes that I seen him. And this was in regular life. All right. So the first time I met him is when I was at the dog park in Austin, Texas land. And he has a friend that I know now because I met her too. I think it's a girl, but it's a giant poodle, and it had a vest. So whenever I walked into the park, she was coming from the back corner around the left side of the tree because he looked over at her. So she was actually coming into the park, and he was standing there. He had this Jeep sitting there, and it was huge. Like it was, I drew it small so I can get in the picture, but the Jeep is like that, fucking massive. Uh, so he sees me. He sees that I can see him. So a few days before that, I had a dream, and it was an overlay type dream. I was walking down the street, and this other guy that was a Fink like him had a big square back like a linebacker comes walking up, and he was brown, and he had these coveralls with a T-shirt on, and his cover was a dude with a blue shirt with khakis on, looking at his phone. I was like, dude, I see that motherfucking type of filter everywhere. Like I've seen, who hasn't seen a dude walking around with a blue shirt and some khakis on, looking at his phone? Everywhere, every city damn near you see that in a busy metropolitan area. So I was like, whoa, that's fucking huge. That was amazing. So the Fink dude, he looks at me, says, man, can he see us? And he uses magic to teleport into a bank right behind the guy. So they go in a bank and the dude's his cover or whatever. So when I saw that, I guess the dude was like an AI or something. But I knew that they could teleport, and he teleported and walked on the side of the bus, right? So apparently when this being was created or whatever, he was meant to be like an arch nemesis of Mickey Mouse. So when I was fond of Ratfink, of course, with all the stuff going on, they figured, I guess they sent him in or something like that. And then I seen him at the dog park for the first time. So when he left, he took off because I could see him. And he gets in this thing, and immediately, as soon as he jumps in it, he takes off like fucking going like 80 or something. I was like, damn. Like he didn't even think about it. He didn't start the engine or nothing. I was like, God damn, how the fuck you do that shit? So I was talking about how cool it was, and then he comes back. So just last night he was outside, and then the day before he went on a ride. So I was headed back in the city, and then my two chakras left and went into this astral space that was in the daytime, because he was like, and it was sunset in regular life. So in the daytime, the same as I saw the guy going in the bank, it was daytime also when I was dreaming at night. So it was a trip, man. So this happened at daytime. So I said, man, don't come at night because, I got this complex, like this warrior complex, and I got all this weird shit going on with me. So if I feel like I need to, I don't want to create any kind of situation that could create animosity if I feel so, whatever. And he was like, man, whatever, it's cool. So instead of it being the next day, that night, it went into a daytime astral space just for the sake of that. So that was pretty clever. I was like, wow, that's brilliant. So when he shows up at the bus, I come out and I'm him, but Thor comes and he's like, hey, just watching, make sure my buddy's safe. So he shows up and he's like, hey, you know what I mean? You know what it is, right? And he could, he's can be gigantic or whatever. So I thought that was funny because he was walking around like all swole shit. I was just like, oh shit, there's Thor's here too. All right, that's what's up. That's what's up. So we roll out. And this thing goes from the farm here in the Midwest all the way to Austin, Texas land in a matter of like, it seemed like we teleported there or something, right? So we get there and multiverses of events happen simultaneously while we're hanging out. So at one multiverse, he was arguing with some dude and it was another creature or something that was purple. So I flew up and I was like, don't mess with my friend or whatever. And then these missiles came out and it was like, the dude was like, oh shit, all right. So then it cut from there like immediately and we were walking down some block or something with trees around and then it cut to some other shit or something. But then I needed to come back, right? So we hopped in the Jeep and I remember every part of this. So we started driving back as I was headed back in the real city in real time. So I was going interdimensions, like it was like fucking tripped out. So we get in the car and I finally realized how this car like goes. He gets in it and he extends the cab like manifestation. So I was able to get in there. Then we take off from Austin back here to this bus and we met up at the exact same time I got back in real life at sunset. And it took like, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes or something. It was so fast. And I'm sitting in the fucking car like, woo! Like just fucking wilding like that. He's just like, and we just cutting corners like, man, it's like, damn. So it reminded me of like that Michael Jackson like Speed Demon video. And then speaking of like demons, man, I don't really think that term is like accurate. If he wants to call himself that, then it's cool. But you know what I mean? Like if you want to demonize something, then call it a name like monster or whatever. But I'm starting to see there's no monsters in here. See what I mean? There's no monsters anywhere. So just the same as this happened, and I'm supposed to be his arch nemesis, and he didn't have anything on his jersey thing. So right when I started drawing this, he was like, hey man, I could put these buttons or I could put anything on there. So when he did it, I drew it on there just so it was there to kind of show like, he was being cool about that. He could put a RF on there or whatever he wants. So yeah, these beings use manifestation, magic. He can teleport. He can be anywhere. So if you're going to teleport or fly or anything, you might as well have any kind of car. He's got a shitload of cars, man, like custom cars, all kind of stuff. He showed it to me. He's just like, look, and I was like, oh, wow. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. And you might as well, if you can fly, you might as well have a hoverboard or anything, magic carpet, whatever, and get around. So, once the cat's out the bag, you can just pretty much do cool stuff on the fly, pretty much. So, with that being said, that was an amazing thing. I was wanting to turn this into like a figurine. And you know what I mean? Because it's just like so memorable and so classic and such a iconic image of and a good representation of this movement that we're trying to spark forward, like this forgiveness movement, redemption, liberation, and that's what it is. This togetherness and this fondness and bonding and being cool. That's what life's all about. And I hope that this image here sparks sparks that feeling and that energy. So, with that being said. Is there anything else that happened? Wow, it was just so cool and so fast. A few things happened. I got visits from the Woo too, man. They showed up in my living room, like in an astral form. And then last night, no, this was the night before, and I wanted to draw this before I made the video. But his poodle friend showed up in the living room too, and I guess it's a he or a she. I couldn't tell, but she or he shrunk themselves down so they can fit inside of the damn room where I watch the TV at, because the being is so big. The being's like fucking 25 feet tall, like maybe almost 30 feet tall. like towering over trees and shit. Like that being was huge, and I saw the face of them too. Finally, it was blurred out the first time, but it was more kind of like, you ever seen that Poodle on Hulk movie when the one that jumped on the hood that had that giant robust face? It was kind of like that, except it had more hair and stuff. But yeah, what else? What else? Yeah, it was such a fast trip and such an adrenaline rush. You could feel it. Like I was literally riding back with this dude, and it was real. It was happening like Michael Jackson's Speed Demon claymation. It was a lot like it felt like that. So it reminded me of that. But yeah, very interesting. Same way with demonization. You can say like also race is subject to racism because people believe that race is real. There's no white or black or anything like that. They were just all the same, you know. But there's no demons, there's no monsters, there's no racism, there's no white or black. You know what I mean? You're not white, or you're just shades of tan. So at the end of the day, you know, if we get rid of all the if we look deep inside, you know, ourselves, we can find a means to come together, and it's everything's all right. Imagine that. So from the dog park to now, you imagine he was supposed to be like my arch enemy. See that? So stay tuned for more Grim Nasty TV. Onward we go into enlightenment. Because when we get awake, we stay awake.